Welcome, Spicy Lady. The moment a woman stops needing the world is the moment the world realizes it cannot control her. There is a kind of woman people often misunderstand. She is quiet but not weak. She is kind but not easily used. She listens more than she speaks, and when she finally speaks, people suddenly pay attention. This is the woman many call the Spicy Lady-Sigma. But the real shift happens when she reaches a point where she truly needs nothing from anyone, not approval, not validation, not constant attention. At first, this can confuse people around her. Some may even call her cold or distant. The truth is much simpler. She has simply learned how to stand on her own emotional ground. A Spicy Lady-Sigma who needs nothing is not dangerous because she wants power over people. She is dangerous because people cannot use the usual tools to control her. Guilt does not move her. Empty praise does not impress her. Fear of being alone does not trap her. She understands something many people spend their whole lives avoiding. Peace is more valuable than popularity. Respect is more important than attention. And self-awareness is stronger than outside approval. So, she watches carefully, she chooses slowly, and she walks away the moment something feels dishonest. That is what makes her different. And that is what makes her powerful. Because when a woman finally becomes comfortable with her own company, something changes forever. The world can no longer bargain with her freedom. In this video, we will explore the deeper truths behind the Spicy Lady-Sigma, who needs nothing, and why her quiet independence makes her one of the most misunderstood forces in modern society. Stay with me until the end. The final insight might change how you see strength completely. Let's get started. Teach Spicy Lady. 1. She cannot be controlled with rewards. Most people can be steered with money, praise, status, or favors. The woman who needs nothing cannot be bribed emotionally or materially. Most people move in the direction of whatever rewards them. Offer praise and they soften. Offer money and they reconsider their values. Offer attention, and they begin to adjust their behavior just to keep receiving it. It is not always weakness. It is simply human nature. We all like to feel appreciated and recognized. But the Spicy Lady-Sigma, who truly needs nothing, moves through the world very differently. You cannot control her with rewards. Money does not impress her enough to silence her conscience. Compliments do not make her forget her boundaries. Social status does not make her bow her head just to belong somewhere. She appreciates good things, but she is not owned by them. This is where many people become confused by her. They are used to a simple pattern. If someone offers enough praise, opportunity, or validation, most people eventually adjust themselves to keep those benefits. The Spicy Lady-Sigma does not play that game. Imagine a workplace where a manager praises everyone who agrees with him. Promotions quietly go to those who stay silent even when something feels wrong. Many employees learn to nod their heads and protect their position. But the woman who needs nothing will speak anyway. Not because she wants to fight, not because she wants attention, but because her self-respect is not for sale. Or think about relationships. Some partners try to keep control through gifts, luxury, or grand gestures. They believe that if they provide enough comfort, the other person will overlook disrespect or manipulation. That strategy collapses when used on a woman who needs nothing. She can appreciate the gift and still walk away. This is what makes her unpredictable to people who rely on control. They cannot calculate her next move because she is not operating from hunger. She is operating from clarity. And when a person is not driven by the need for approval, money, or status, their decisions become very simple. They choose peace over rewards. They choose truth over comfort. And they choose self-respect over everything else. That kind of freedom is rare. And that is exactly why it makes her impossible to control. 2. She becomes mentally unshakable. Criticism becomes information instead of a personal attack. At some point in her life, something important changes inside her mind. The Spicy Lady-Sigma begins to see criticism very differently from how most people see it. For many people, criticism feels like an attack. A single negative comment can ruin their entire day. They replay the words again and again in their head, wondering what people think about them. They defend themselves quickly or withdraw completely just to protect their pride. But the woman who needs nothing develops a different relationship with criticism. She stops seeing it as an insult and starts seeing it as information. When someone criticizes her, the first thing she does is pause. She listens carefully, not because she agrees with everything being said, but because she understands something important. Every comment contains a piece of data. Some of it may be useless noise, but sometimes there is a small truth hidden inside it. And she is wise enough to look for that truth. Imagine a situation at work. A colleague tells her that her presentation was not clear enough. Many people would immediately feel embarrassed or defensive. They would argue, make excuses, or silently carry resentment for days. But the mentally unshakable woman reacts differently. She calmly asks herself a simple question. Is there something useful in this comment? If the criticism is helpful, she improves. If it is unfair, she lets it pass without carrying emotional weight. Another example appears on social media or in everyday conversations. Someone might try to insult her confidence by saying she is too quiet, too bold, too independent, or too different. Most people would feel pressured to adjust themselves just to avoid judgment. She does not. She understands that criticism often reveals more about the speaker than the target. Some people criticize because they are insecure. Others criticize because they do not understand what they are seeing. So instead of reacting emotionally, she simply observes. Her mind becomes steady. Her identity does not shake every time someone disagrees with her. Opinions become feedback rather than wounds. This mental stability is powerful. When a woman stops treating criticism like a personal attack, she becomes calm in situations that make others crumble. And that calmness gives her something very rare in today's world, clarity. 3. She walks away without negotiation. Where others beg for closure or explanations, she simply leaves. There is a moment in life when a person realizes that not every situation deserves a long conversation. Not every disrespect deserves a debate. Not every ending needs a closing speech. This is the moment when the SpicyLady-Sigma learns one of her quietest strengths. She walks away without negotiation. Many people struggle with this. When something breaks in a relationship, friendship, or even a workplace, they feel the urge to stay and explain themselves again and again. They want closure. They want the other person to finally understand their pain. They want one last conversation that will somehow fix everything. But the woman who needs nothing begins to see things more clearly. She understands that some people already understood what they were doing. They just did not care. So, instead of begging for explanations, she observes actions. Imagine a friendship where one person constantly disrespects her time. They cancel plans at the last minute, ignore her messages for days, then suddenly return as if nothing happened. Many people would stay and try to repair the friendship by asking questions like, "Why are you treating me this way?" Or "Can we talk about it?" The SpicyLady-Sigma notices the pattern. She understands the message behind the behavior, and quietly she steps back. No dramatic announcement, no emotional argument, just distance. Another example appears in relationships. Some people stay for months, or even years, hoping the other person will eventually change. They negotiate boundaries that are broken again and again. She does not negotiate with repeated disrespect. The moment she sees that her peace is no longer protected, she chooses something many people are afraid to choose. She leaves. This does not mean she lacks feelings. It means she has learned that attachment should never cost her self-respect. Her ability to walk away quickly often surprises people. They expected tears, long explanations, or endless attempts to repair what was already broken. Instead, they find silence and absence. And that silence says something powerful. A woman who does not hesitate to leave is a woman who has already learned how to stand alone. 4. Rejection does not wound her. She does not depend on acceptance to define herself. For many people, rejection feels like a heavy door slammed in their face. It can make them question their worth, their abilities, even their identity. A job application is turned down, and suddenly they feel inadequate. A relationship ends, and they begin to wonder if something is wrong with them. A group refuses to accept them, and they start changing themselves just to fit in. Rejection has that kind of power over people who rely on acceptance to feel complete. But the spicy Lady Sigma who needs nothing learns to see rejection in a completely different way. She does not treat rejection as a verdict on her value. She treats it as direction. When something or someone rejects her, she does not collapse under the weight of it. She steps back and simply asks a calm question. Was this place ever meant for me in the first place? That question changes everything. Imagine a woman applying for a job she truly believes she deserves. She prepares well, attends the interview, and later receives the message that the company chose someone else. Many people would carry that rejection like a scar. They would replay the interview again and again, wondering where they failed. But the spicy Lady Sigma processes it differently. She takes the lesson, improves where necessary, and moves forward without attaching her identity to the decision of strangers. The same thing happens in relationships. Someone may walk away from her life thinking she is too independent, too focused, or too different from what they expected. Instead of shrinking herself to win their approval, she accepts the reality. Not everyone is meant to stay. Another example appears in social circles. Sometimes people reject what they do not understand. A woman who refuses to follow every trend or social expectation may be labeled distant or unusual. Many people would try harder to fit in. She does not, because once a woman stops needing acceptance to define who she is, something powerful happens. Rejection stops feeling like a wound. It becomes simple information. And when rejection loses its power to hurt you, something even bigger happens. No one can manipulate you with the fear of losing their approval. That is when true independence begins. 5. She is immune to social pressure. Trends, expectations, and group thinking fail to control her because her compass is internal. Every society has invisible rules. They are not always written anywhere, but everyone seems to follow them. What to wear, how to behave, what success should look like, when to marry, what career is respectable, what opinions are acceptable in a group. Most people feel a quiet pressure to follow these patterns, even when something inside them disagrees. They adjust themselves to avoid standing out. No one wants to feel rejected by the crowd. But the spicy Lady Sigma who needs nothing operates from a different place. Her compass is internal. This means her decisions do not come from trends or group approval. They come from her own thinking, her own values, and her own sense of direction. Because of this, social pressure loses its power over her. Imagine a group of friends who all believe that success must look a certain way. A high-paying job, a certain lifestyle, a certain timeline for marriage. Anyone who steps outside that pattern is quietly questioned. Many people would feel uncomfortable resisting that pressure. They would slowly adjust their choices just to stay accepted. But the spicy Lady Sigma calmly chooses what feels right for her life. If she wants to build a quiet business instead of chasing a flashy career, she does it. If she decides to remain single while focusing on her growth, she is comfortable with that choice. If everyone around her follows a trend that makes no sense to her, she simply watches without joining. This does not mean she believes she is better than others. It simply means she trusts her own judgment. Another example can be seen in everyday situations. Someone might try to shame her into doing something by saying everyone else is doing it. That phrase alone controls many people, but she immediately recognizes the trap. Just because many people are moving in one direction does not mean the direction is wise. History is full of examples where entire groups were wrong. So, she listens, observes, and then quietly follows her own path. That independence can confuse people who depend on group approval to make decisions, but it also gives her something very rare: freedom from the noise of the crowd. 6. She cannot be emotionally blackmailed. Guilt, shame, and approval tactics fail because she does not rely on others for identity. Emotional blackmail is one of the quietest forms of control in human relationships. It rarely looks aggressive on the surface. Most of the time it hides behind guilt, shame, or subtle pressure. Someone makes you feel responsible for their happiness. Someone reminds you of everything they have done for you. Someone withdraws affection just to make you question yourself. Many people fall into this trap without realizing it. They stay in situations that drain them because they feel guilty leaving. They say yes when they want to say no because they do not want to disappoint others. Slowly, their choices stop belonging to them and start belonging to the emotions of everyone around them. But the spicy lady Sigma who needs nothing sees this pattern clearly. She cannot be emotionally blackmailed. This is not because she lacks empathy or compassion. In fact, she understands emotions very well. The difference is that she does not allow guilt or shame to replace her sense of truth. Imagine a family member constantly reminding her of sacrifices they made in the past. The message is subtle but powerful. After everything I have done for you, how can you refuse this request? Many people would immediately surrender their boundaries under that weight. But the spicy lady Sigma pauses and looks at the situation honestly. Gratitude does not mean surrendering her independence. Appreciation does not mean abandoning what is right for her life. So she responds calmly. She thanks them for their support, but still chooses what aligns with her values. Another example appears in relationships. Some partners try to control through emotional pressure. They say things like, if you loved me, you would do this, or you are hurting me by saying no. These words are designed to trigger guilt. But she understands something important. Real love does not demand the destruction of personal boundaries. So instead of being pulled into the emotional storm, she stays steady. She listens, but she does not absorb the manipulation. When a woman does not rely on others to define who she is, guilt loses its power. Shame loses its grip. Approval stops being a currency that controls her behavior. And in that moment, emotional blackmail becomes useless because a person who knows their identity cannot be forced to trade it for someone else's comfort. 7. She chooses relationships. She does not depend on them. This creates a different type of bond. One of the biggest differences in the life of a spicy lady Sigma is how she approaches relationships. Many people enter relationships from a place of need. They want someone to fill an emotional gap, to remove loneliness, or to give them a sense of identity. When a relationship becomes their main source of stability, they begin to depend on it. And once dependence appears, fear quietly follows. Fear of losing the person, fear of saying the wrong thing, fear of setting boundaries. Slowly, the relationship stops being a connection between two whole people and becomes a place where one person feels they must hold on at all costs. But the woman who needs nothing approaches relationships from a completely different mindset. She chooses relationships. She does not depend on them. This creates a powerful shift in the quality of the bond. When she cares about someone, she does so because she genuinely values their presence in her life, not because she feels incomplete without them. Her happiness does not disappear if the relationship ends, so her love becomes more honest and less desperate. Imagine a woman who is comfortable with her own life. She has her interests, her growth, her peace of mind. When she enters a relationship, she is not looking for someone to rescue her from loneliness. She is simply inviting someone to share the journey. Because of this, she does not tolerate unhealthy patterns for long. If respect disappears, she addresses it calmly. If communication becomes dishonest, she notices it quickly. And if the relationship stops being healthy, she is capable of stepping away without losing herself. This does not make her cold. In fact, it makes her relationships deeper. When someone knows that a woman is not staying because she has to, but because she truly wants to, the connection becomes more meaningful. Every moment together becomes a conscious choice rather than an obligation. Think about the difference between someone saying, I need you, and someone saying, I choose you. One comes from dependence. The other comes from strength. And when a relationship is built on choice instead of need, it becomes something far more powerful and far more real. 8. She becomes extremely difficult to intimidate. Fear loses influence when someone has already detached from losing things. Fear is one of the oldest tools used to control people. It appears in many forms: fear of losing a job, fear of losing a relationship, fear of losing status, comfort, or approval. Once someone knows what you are afraid of losing, they can quietly use that fear to influence your decisions. This is why intimidation works so well on many people. The moment something valuable is at risk, confidence begins to shake. But the spicy Lady Sigma who needs nothing develops a different relationship with fear. She becomes extremely difficult to intimidate. This does not mean she is reckless or careless. It means she has already made peace with the idea that some things in life may leave. When a person stops clinging to everything they have, fear begins to lose its power over them. Imagine a workplace where employees are constantly reminded how replaceable they are. The message is clear. Stay quiet. Do not challenge anything. Protect your position. Most people respond by shrinking their voice. They become careful with every word because they fear losing stability. But the woman who is not emotionally attached to status or approval stands differently in that room. If something is wrong, she calmly speaks her mind, not to rebel, but because her sense of truth matters more than temporary comfort. Her confidence does not come from believing nothing bad can happen. It comes from knowing she will still be okay even if it does. Another example appears in personal relationships. Sometimes people try to control others by threatening distance or withdrawal. They believe the fear of losing the relationship will force the other person to comply. But that strategy does not work on someone who has already learned how to stand alone. If respect disappears, she does not panic. If someone tries to scare her into submission, she remains steady. She understands that peace of mind is worth more than forced companionship. When fear stops controlling your choices, intimidation becomes ineffective. People quickly notice that threats no longer move you. Pressure no longer shakes your voice. And that quiet stability sends a powerful message without saying many words. A woman who is not afraid of losing things is a woman who cannot easily be controlled. 9. She listens more than she speaks. Observation replaces the need to impress. One of the most powerful qualities a spicy Lady Sigma develops is the ability to listen more than she speaks. In a world where people often feel the need to talk just to prove their intelligence or value, this trait immediately sets her apart. She does not speak to impress, to be liked, or to dominate a conversation. She speaks when it matters, and until then, she observes. Observation becomes her secret strength. By listening carefully, she notices details that most people overlook. She sees patterns in behavior, subtle changes in tone, the unspoken motives behind actions. While others are busy filling silence with words, she is quietly collecting information. Imagine a meeting where everyone is trying to outshine each other. Opinions fly, voices get louder, and everyone wants to be heard. Most people are focused on sounding smart or convincing the group. She, however, is paying attention to everything. Who interrupts, who avoids certain topics, who hesitates before answering. That awareness gives her insight that others will never have. This ability also extends to personal relationships. Many people miss red flags because they are too busy speaking or seeking approval. A spicy Lady Sigma, on the other hand, notices the small things. The way someone avoids eye contact, the tone they use when they are upset, the consistency between words and actions. She does not jump to conclusions, but she does understand the patterns. Listening more than speaking also reduces mistakes. When you are constantly reacting or talking, you risk saying the wrong thing, revealing too much, or making assumptions. By observing first, she makes calculated moves instead of impulsive ones. The result is a kind of quiet authority. People may underestimate her at first because she is not loud or flashy, but over time, they realize she sees more than anyone else. She understands dynamics that others miss. Her judgments and decisions carry weight because they are based on observation, not impulse or desire for approval. In a world full of noise, a woman who listens more than she speaks is not only wise, she is practically untouchable. Her silence is not weakness, it is power. 10. She is calm in chaos. When emotions run high around her, her stillness becomes unsettling to others. In the middle of chaos, most people react instinctively. Voices rise, hearts race, decisions are rushed. Panic spreads like wildfire, and it often feels impossible to think clearly. But the spicy Lady Sigma who needs nothing experiences these moments differently. She is calm in chaos. Her stillness is not the result of ignoring the situation. It is the result of mastering herself. While others are pulled into the emotional storm, she maintains clarity. Her mind does not spiral with fear, anger, or frustration. She observes, assesses, and responds thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. Imagine a workplace crisis where deadlines are missed, people are yelling, and stress is palpable. Most employees would be frazzled, making mistakes under pressure. She, however, moves through the chaos with composure. She listens, prioritizes, and acts decisively while everyone else struggles to catch their breath. Her calm presence quietly reassures some, but it unsettles others. People are often thrown off because they expect panic. They expect everyone to feel their fear, but she does not follow the herd. This ability also appears in personal relationships. Arguments erupt, accusations fly, and emotions spike. Most people match intensity with intensity, escalating the situation. She remains grounded. Her calm does not mean passivity. It means she is in control of herself. She does not need to dominate the argument or prove a point. Her steady presence often forces others to pause and reconsider their own behavior. Her stillness becomes a kind of mirror. It exposes how frantic or reactive others are. And in that moment, it gives her a quiet power. People notice that she is not easily shaken. They realize that their attempts to pressure or manipulate through emotional drama will not work on her. Being calm in chaos is more than composure. It is freedom. It means her decisions are guided by clarity, not panic. It means she can see solutions when others see only problems. And in a world where most people are controlled by their emotions, her calm is not just a strength. It is a rare kind of mastery that commands respect without demanding it. Final words. A woman who needs nothing from the world cannot be controlled by it. The spicy Lady Sigma who needs nothing is not dangerous because she wants to dominate others. She is dangerous because she has removed herself from the usual levers that control people. She does not chase approval, seek validation, or bend to the expectations of society. She is calm in chaos, unshakable in the face of criticism, and impossible to manipulate with guilt or fear. Her decisions come from clarity, observation, and purpose, not from the fleeting reactions of those around her. What makes her truly powerful is the way she moves through life. She listens more than she speaks, allowing her to notice patterns others miss. She walks away without negotiation when respect disappears. She embraces rejection without losing herself and chooses relationships instead of depending on them. She cannot be intimidated because fear has no grip on someone who is already detached from the need to hold everything. This kind of woman inspires both respect and unease. People are drawn to her authenticity, yet they are often unsettled because they cannot predict her moves. She is independent in thought, action, and spirit. Ultimately, her strength lies in her freedom. She has mastered herself before seeking mastery over anything else. Her presence is a reminder that power does not come from forcing others to act a certain way, but from becoming so whole, so self-sufficient, and so anchored in your purpose that the world no longer has a hold over you. To encounter such a woman is to witness a force that cannot be tamed. And that is why she is the most powerful of all. Thank you for watching and God bless you.